kids something I did
Kids.
in 1973. I was still in the Army. My colonel, I worked directly for him. Wasn't anything unusual. There were several of us who worked directly for him. We were instructors on nuclear weapons. So, him and I got in a fight every day, okay? And the other guy said, George, you get away with it because he likes you. And he actually starts those fights with you, you know, to get your reaction. Well, anyway, one day he walked up to me and he said, we had this retired five-star general from World War II, okay? Last name was Clark. And he was going around the nation, viewing the troops, probably paying him $250,000, $300,000 during those times, you know? So he sent word ahead of him, himself. He wanted to hear an NCO give a speech. You see, during World War II, it turns out that we had a very weak NCO corps, you know? And that's the reason they put so much into us, training us. I went to several schools, you know, on it. And anyway, Colonel Legan, he said to me one day, he said, Sergeant Wood, we got this General Clark coming. He wants to hear our NCO give a speech. You've been selected. I said, yeah, well, what subject? He said, just pick one. That's okay. He said, but now when you get it wrote and practice it, I want to hear it. See, we had several hundred troops in this big theater. And this general and his staff was sitting on the front row, you know. So I went to him and I said, Colonel, I'm ready to give you that speech. And, oh, you do a good job. What he didn't realize, and I wasn't thinking, my speech, the title of it, was Politics and Corruption. They go hand in hand. In the day, we had, like today, we had a bunch of crooked-ass politicians. One of them was from Arkansas, senator. His secretary's name was a stripper. Her name was Fanny Fox. Well, needless to say, I got some mileage out of that one. I'm trying to think of that senator's name. But anyway, he was in trouble. More so after I give that speech. But anyway, I talked about several people in my speech. That senator's name was Wilburn Mills. That was his name. From Arkansas. Well, Senator William Fulbright was a senator in Arkansas that promoted Bill Clinton to become president. Yeah. But anyway, I used him too. And the president at the time was President Richard Nixon. Well, he was a good president. So I complimented him on what he was doing with Vietnam, you know. The speech went on for a while. And back in the day, if I do say it, I could perform on a stage. You know? I wore polished cotton khaki uniform. Now, if you don't know what polished cotton is, do you know what it is?
Tell us.
Well, yeah, that's what the military called it, you know. And they didn't issue them to you. You had to buy them. They was extra. I bought a pair or two. And they were really sharp. Had that three military creases down the back, three of them. You remember that? Okay? Yeah. Okay, but anyway, when I finished that speech, that entire theater jumped up, applauding and hooping and hollering and carrying on, with the exception of that front row. They just sat there. And that's when it dawned on me that I wasn't even supposed to use the word politics in the military, you know? So, I come off the back of that stage. There were scrambled eggs everywhere. To explain to y'all what scrambled eggs are, okay, in the military, you've seen those hats with that scrambled looking stuff on the bill? Okay, well, when you see that, you know that's a field grade officer, major or above, you know? And so when I was coming down the steps back to that stage, there was scrambled eggs everywhere. And all of them trying to chew my ass at the same time. It was so stupid. I cracked up laughing. That really felt to my heart. But anyway, this went on for a month. They wondered what to do with me. Well, some of them decided, well, we'll just court-martial them. That's what we'll do. You know?
Wow.
Then they went and pulled my 201 file, you know? That's your record. Went through that. Now we can't court martial him. He's got too good of a record. And I had done some crazy things while I was in the service, you know? I really advanced that Persian missile system myself, you know? I made what was called unauthorized modifications on it, okay? But I would hide it until we go to Utah, either from Germany to Utah or Fort Sill, Oklahoma to Utah. I'd hide it until we fired, you know? Well, when it worked, I'd tell them what I'd done. Mark Merritt, the missile company, was crazy about me, you know? They did their best to harm me when I got out of the Army in '75. But anyway, going back to that speech was almost talked more about in the military than that water hose caper I pulled. You could go anywhere in the military and they be people talking about the water hose caper. $8.5 million worth of missile cable, but they weren't missile cable. They were water hoses, you know? And I never will forget that kid. I wish I'd been able to stay in touch with him. His name was Pompilio. He was a real good-looking Greek kid from New York. He already had his law license.
You told us a story of him.
Huh?
You told us a story with him.
I tell you, I love that kid. He was, you know, he was sharp as a tack, you know?
Don't forget to follow him for that story on
Yes.
his
Yeah,
channel.
I tell you, Pompilio, unlike Andy, if I was talking to somebody and Pompilio walked up, he didn't dare interrupt me. You know? I'm gonna knock her ass out one of these days.
I'm deleting that.